Bills once again fell short in the AFC Championship game to the Kansas City Chiefs. And although I could talk about the play calling and all those things, that's not why we're here, people. It's the 2025 offseason, all right? We are going into the draft, combines in full swing right now, and I'm going to focus on the things that the Bills can do to make sure they don't have the same problems that they had against the Chiefs in the 2024 AFC Championship game. Now, obviously, we have to talk about the fucking cap situation first. The Bills are in a bit of a pickle as they are $12 million over the cap, even with all of the things that are going on. And there's some ways they can fix that money. I think that they're going to cut Von Miller. I think they may put a post June 1st designation on that cut, allow Von Miller to go out there and find a new team, but still have him under contract, and that'll be on the salary cap for a little while. Now, that being said, it does save them some money, but it still, even with that, does not get them out of the hole they're in. They still be about $3 million over the cap. You're going to have to take some of your senior guys, some of your veterans on this team, and convert their contracts. You're going to have to extend them. You're going to have to try to get it into a bonus, try to free up money for this year so that you can go do the things you need to do to go get the players you need to go get. Now, once you do that, names like, Daquan Jones, Oliver, Dawkins, those sorts of guys are the guys that I'm talking about that may need some restructuring done, push some of that contract money into the future to free up some money this year. I think those are good targets to do. Those are team quality guys who are looking to help the team get to where it needs to go. And it's not like you really can do a whole lot to improve a team that realistically probably could have won the AFC Championship game if a couple things here or there go their way. A little bit better play calling on the team a little bit for what they have going on. Once you do all of that, you got to look at the free agency, which starts very soon, starts here in a couple of weeks. Obviously, you have to get the money freed up so you can go do these sorts of things. I think the first thing you have to do is you have to start looking at what you need. And although, you got your rookie wide receiver, you have all of the things you had on the backfield, you're really missing that one guy who consistently wins. They thought it could be Amari Cooper. That obviously didn't kind of pan out. I think Cooper's kind of washed. I don't see him coming back. I think he's going to be on the free agent market if they get a choice. I don't see any reason to keep him. There's just a lot of things this team needs to help Josh Allen out. Now, Josh Allen proved without a doubt that he can elevate the talent around him. He's not a one-trick pony. He doesn't need a Stephon Diggs. However, it is helpful to have a player that consistently wins the matchups that you can go to. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Shakir. I think he's a great wide receiver. He's a great slot. Slot receivers are very reliable. I think the tight ends they have there and are great. I think they're very, very good. I think that they're very helpful, very useful for this offense. Those are the two places that when a quarterback, everything else fails, it's the check down of the running back, the slot receiver guy, and the tight ends. Those are your main focal points. But you need that one guy who can win outside, do the things you need to do. And although T. Higgins is probably a little too rich for a lot of people's blood right now, if Chris Godwin does not go back to the Bucs, Chris Godwin is a perfect example of a guy who you might be able to get a little bit cheaper than you probably could have because of his injury history if he chooses not to go back to Tampa Bay if they can't afford him. I think the Bills freeing up the money to try to get a Chris Godwin in on a 2-year, maybe kind of show he's healthy kind of deal. It's low risk if you can get him in there, possibly hit him with a huge signing bonus, something of that nature that allows you to kind of transition money into the future so you're not eating up all of that right off the bat. I think that's a very good idea. I think you could also say, maybe go get a BJ Hill on the defensive side to kind of shore up the defensive line a little bit and really kind of sturdy up the things that the Bills need to do from a free agent standpoint. They need to get that top tier wide receiver. They need to get some help along the defensive interior line. Now, BJ Hill, obviously not the best defensive tackle you could go get. Cincinnati's defense wasn't all that great, but I like BJ Hill. I think BJ Hill is a good player and could really help the Bills in what they do. I just think that, I don't see him going back to Cincinnati. I think that he's going to be available. It's a guy you can get a little cheaper, plug in there. And if that's not up your alley, well, the good news is this draft is full of defensive players and defensive interiors that you can go get. But I also want to focus on the fact that realistically, the Bills had one scathing issue. And it was converting quarterback pressures into sacks. And the sacks is really what it came down to. They thought Von Miller would be able to do it. He barely played at all. And so you have to go out here and you look. And the good news is for the Bills, you can get just about as many defensive edge players as you want to generate sacks, generate pressure. And I think it's a very, very big deal for them to go do that. Now, a couple names I have on my list that are going to be available around, the end of the first round. As of right now, you have Donovan Ezer, I'm going to butcher this name. It's from Boston College. Donovan Ezuraku. And Nick Scorden is there. Princely Uman Malayan. He had a little bit of a lackluster 40 time, but he's still there. Jack Sawyer is another one who's a little bit later, but you could draft him a little earlier if you're high on him out of Ohio State. Very, very good guy. Brandon Swinson's another one. So you have a lot of options in the edge department. You have a lot of options in the interior defensive line. I think right now one of the options in the interior defensive line that I have bookmarked for the Bills to go look at would be like a Tylek Williams, who a lot of people heard. Shamar Turner is there. Alfred Collins. You have a TJ Saunders. Darius Alexander's there as well. Derek Harmon is there. These are all really top tier defensive interior players you could go get. And if you're really not feeling defensive interior and you feel like your secondaries will let you down, Bills fans, I got a couple names for you to look out for as well. You could go get a Siobhan Revel, who, is there. Maxwell Hairston had a great combine. They were talking about him all day. They said he moved his stock. He was currently ranked 50 on PFF. He posted a 4.29 40 time, measures out really well. I could see the Bills going for a guy like him if he is still available in sort of the area that he is right now, which is that mid to late second round kind of guy. But if he does improve his draft stock enough to get into the end of the first round, I think Maxwell Hairston could be a perfect addition to a secondary that realistically after the first line of people really drops off. I mean, that's all we really talked about was after you sort of, lose your starting guys in the secondary, you kind of drop off. But I still think the main concern is finding someone on the edge in the draft, getting a couple of those guys in here. And like I said, there's a slew of them. Pick around, Bills fans. Draft a defensive edge player. Pick around. There are 10 sack guys, high pressure rate guys, high win, pass rush win percentage guys, according to PFF, available up and down this draft that you could go get to kind of convert these into sacks. Because realistically, it wasn't that you struggled to get pressures. This Bills defense did not struggle to get pressures. They struggled to turn pressures into sacks. They were one of the low, very, very low in the sack category, but the pressure rate, according to NFL Plus, they were very, very good. They got a lot of pressure. They generated a lot of quarterback pressures. They just couldn't get the quarterbacks on the ground. You need to find guys that can win and get home, not just kind of make it uncomfortable. Making it uncomfortable is a very big thing, but any quarterback will tell you getting hit significantly worse than just being pressured. So I think that's the Bills' biggest thing right now. And like I said, it's very, very difficult to find a way to improve a team that just went to AFC Championship game and has an MVP as a quarterback. But if it was me, the two biggest things I would do is go get a wide receiver in free agency like Chris Godwin, possibly one in the draft. I don't think you guys are going to like any of the ones that are there at 30, maybe something later who's got a high boom or bust category. And just, you got to find those 2 or 3 little tweaks. And the Bills will find themselves back in the AFC Championship game. And this time, they won't lose.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.